Alvin, Reid, and Charlie Brennan on Next Up. I'm going to say something I thought I would never say. We're joined by Mark Mantovani, Republican candidate for St. Louis County Executive. How you doing, Mark?
I'm great, Alvin. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. So,
Good.
all right. So,
my Green Tree Festival buddy.
oh, there you go. And, wait, I liked how somebody came up to you and asked your wife, "Do you know Mark Mantovani?" And I said, like, yeah, I do believe they know each other. So you're a very popular guy.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, your popularity is kind of waned with Democrats because they're kind of confused by the choice to run as a Republican. So, you know, for those of us that are kind of confused by it, what's your first, you know, explanation?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked, right, because I think it's important that I clarify this. It is a little confusing to folks, for certain, having run twice as a Democrat and now running on the Republican ticket. So, look, the most important fact is that I'm the same guy, right? My views haven't changed. I'm the same guy. The reason that I am pursuing the office is because of my devotion to St. Louis and my belief that we have fundamental challenges that are not being addressed. And so when the Republican position came open, the nomination for county executive came open through a bunch of sort of unexpected circumstances, and conversations began. I have Republican friends, like you guys do too, I'm sure, and they said, would you be interested in running on the Republican side? And I said, look, when I ran as a Democrat, I asked Republicans to vote for me. I asked Democrats to vote for me. I will do the same thing from the Republican side because my focus here isn't political parties. My focus is St. Louis. You can call me an R, you can call me a D. Let's just worry about STL.
Okay, and I'll point out that Sam Page has been invited to be on the show, and you have acquiesced and said you would be on the show.
Yeah, sure, why not?
So yeah, so
Okay.
we hopefully he will join us at some time.
Oh, by the way, is there going to be a debate between the two of you between now and first Tuesday in November?
I don't know. We've been asked by another local TV network, and we agreed. I don't know what the other side is thinking about that. So I guess you would say it's in discussion, but I'm certainly open to it. I think people have a right to hear us, see us, and make their judgment about what's best for the region.
Well, I know the region is not growing. The country is. Some of our counties are, St. Charles and Franklin and Jefferson, but according to the most recent census figures, actually St. Louis County, population of about 1 million, lost 7,000. It went down. Yeah. So it's kind of in a rut right now. What would you do to reverse that so that it's a growing, thriving part of the United States?
Well, there are a lot of things we have to do, right? We're not going to change the trajectory overnight. But this is a big part of why I've gotten into these campaigns as a practical matter. You know, Charlie, when I first started thinking about this, one of the things that sort of made me consider getting involved in running for office was watching young people leave the community. I have children who grew up here and went to high school here, and when they were in their mid to late 20s, I started noticing that their peers, their friends, were leaving St. Louis. They're not coming back here after college or whatnot. And I found that to be very unfortunate. You know how it is when you're raising kids. You become friendly with the parents of your kids' friends. And I saw our friends seeing their families fracturing as their children were going exactly where you'd predict. You could guess. They went to Boston and D.C. and to Nashville and to Austin and Columbus and the like. And I think that is ruinous for our community to lose our young people. Yesterday I was speaking to a group of folks, and I had looked at the census in St. Louis many years ago. My grandfather came over to Ellis Island in 1911 and on his way to St. Louis. And in 1911, St. Louis was the 4th largest city in America. in 1911. So over the course of my grandfather and my life, we have seen this degradation of St. Louis, and I think it's I think it is unacceptable, and a lot of it's happened on my generation's watch, and that is very disappointing to me. So what can we do? Was your question? Well, we have to do a lot of things. We have to address those fundamental challenges that are keeping people from living here, from being comfortable here. One of the biggest of those, of course, is crime. You know, and crime today, our reputation for crime, acts as a very negative factor in companies locating people here and people returning here, and in people, frankly, moving to those other counties that you referred to there, Charlie. And the current administration, to the best of my knowledge, has communicated no crime plan whatsoever. It's as if they either don't think it's a problem or they don't know what to do about it. But I have never, candidly, heard County Executive Page speak to the fact that we have a crime problem. Now look, there are crime plans enacted all over America. If you Google crime plans, you'll see that most major cities in America, most major communities, have crime plans that have been developed in their community. And the way they do it is they put together a variety of different constituents. They'll work with the police, they'll work with the feds, they'll work with clergy, they'll work with business interests, and collectively they'll develop a plan to try to execute in their plan to mitigate crime, right? If I were ever county executive, this would probably at the very top of my priority list to establish a plan.
Okay, to do this,
Yep.
you have to work with the county council. All right. Now, it's very adversarial. I said a couple of shows ago, I really don't feel like I'm represented by anybody on the county council. All right. One, what has the reaction been from the county chair, Reid Days? And two, do you feel as though the factions could be broken down if you were the county executive?
Yeah, I really do, Alvin. I think that the nature of the relationship between the county executive and the county council today is a function of, in large measure, the disrespect that he has shown to them over the course of these 4 years. To answer your question specifically, I think I have a very good relationship with Chairperson Reid Days and with Shalonda Webb and a number of the others. I know them all, okay, because I've been around long enough that I know all of these folks. I think I've got a pretty good relationship with all of them. And my objective would be to treat them with respect. They're entitled to that, for heaven's sakes. They're the legislative body of this region, right? They are a co-equal partner to the county executive. To treat those people dismissively, I think, is counterproductive, and it breeds disrespect. So I'd go into those relationships, I think, expecting to work well with them to tackle the community's problems.
Okay, but they're Democrats, okay? And you're now a Republican. And there's a natural, they have to be thinking, what is this all about? I mean, is he sincere is he going to back us or, you know, the Republicans when it comes down to when we're talking about vaccinations and, you know, all heck is breaking loose at the county council meetings?
Well, so two points on that. First of all, the fact that people have a different political party's initial after their name, in my opinion, is much less important than we're all St. Louisans, right? I think we have a lot more in common than we have differences. And I think that those people care about their communities and this greater community, as do I, and so I think we'd work together well. Furthermore, a lot of the interests that they have are really exactly right, okay? So I don't think that we're going to have this sort of antagonism. And the other point that I would make to your question, Alvin, is the controversy between the county executive and the county council has not been based on party anyway, right? It's been based on people that either have a relationship with Sam Page or don't. I mean, it isn't as though the Democrats were together and the Republicans were opposed. In fact, it's quite often the opposite, all right? So I don't think that focusing on party here is is particularly relevant. Look,
That's interesting, because it does seem like the county council is the one government body in the United States in 2022 that is not divided along party lines.
Right.
But let me ask you about a question that we had in the first half of the show, and that is Tyrone from Illinois called the 9 line and wanted to know how we, as panelists, would spend that $512 million that the region got from the Stan Kroenke lawsuit. Dr. Sam Page hasn't indicated where he'd like that money to go yet, but if you were county executive, what would you think? Where would you like to spend that $500 million?
Well, so look, first of all, the county isn't going to get a $500 million. If the county, the most the county would get would be a third of it, perhaps, right? Maybe a little more, but that would, this is a work in progress, right, in terms of the division of that money. So we don't know how much the county is going to get. I find that a little troubling that this has been languishing as it has during a campaign season. It seems to me that maybe there's an inclination here to put this off until after the election and then come back to the county and say this is how much of this we're getting. But be that as may. With respect to what I would do with the money, first, look, the county has significant financial challenges right now, right? It's been essentially operating on a deficit budget for the last couple of years. Tomorrow, the county executive will be giving his budget for next year. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of deficit there is there. I mean, already ARPA funds, which are federal funds associated with COVID, have been used to balance the budget for 22 and probably again for 23. I mean, the priorities here, again, are crime, right? I think we're going to have to invest in that. Our infrastructure is decaying. Our county employees have been undercompensated, in my view, for many years. So there's not going to be any shortage of what to do with that money. There are going to be a lot of ideas, I expect, and I think we'll work with those through the whole community.
Is there a Mark Mantovani crime plan that both North County and South County and all of the county can get with?
So the Mark Mantovani crime plan is going to be developed in conjunction with people from North County and South County. The example that I would point to is something along the lines of Operation Ceasefire, which was the Boston crime plan that was executed around 2000, 2002, which has been emulated across America, frankly. And this is why I said it requires collaboration of a variety of different constituencies within the community. In Operation Ceasefire, clergy and police worked together to identify who likely violent actors were. The clergy was crucial in helping to identify those people. Business people were behind offering those individuals who were identified the opportunity for training, job training, jobs, and the like. And essentially what happened here was the police and the clergy said to these purported bad actors, look, you're going to have to change one way or the other. Either you're going to be removed from the streets, or, because we'll be watching, or we're going to provide you with job training and get you on a better standing in the community. Similar programs have been enacted in Oakland and Cincinnati and the like. My beef, if I have a beef, is that we're not talking about it, Alvin, right? Other communities are working on these things, right? And we can't optimize the economic development side of our region so long as we are mute on the question of our crime, right? We have to be communicating with the population here. We have to set metrics in place that we're going to bring this down, hopefully in this quarter to this and next quarter to that. And if we don't get there, we communicate we don't get there, but we're on it. We have to be on this stuff, and we're not.
I think that plan that you outline is from the brainchild of Thomas Abt, ABT, who was with Harvard, was also with the Obama Justice Department, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Clinton. Yep. It has worked in some other cities. Have you been in contact with him by chance?
No, I have not. I've just read about the program and studied it candidly. So.
We were also talking.
John, again, I don't mean to suggest that that is the program. Okay, I mean to suggest though that our community, with the leadership of an engaged county executive, ought to be devising a program that we all get behind, and then we try to execute it, right? Those are just, my point is that I say this to some people in St. Louis, that we have to have a crime plan, and there's almost like disbelief about the fact that there can be a crime plan when they're engaged all over the country, but not really here.
Hey, let me ask you real quickly about Steve Ellman in St. Charles County and other leaders there rolled back just a portion of the personal property tax because, as you know, our cars are appreciating in value and the sales tax, or rather the personal property tax, is based on the value of the car. So people are seeing, even on their used cars, increases in the taxes they owe the county. Would you, as county executive, seek to dial back to some extent the personal property tax that St. Louis Countyans pay?
Yeah, so look, people are really under the gun right now economically in this community and elsewhere. I talk to people every day who are telling me, you know, look, I don't know what I'm going to do for Christmas this year with the Christmas presents. Somebody told me today that the Costco family-sized macaroni and cheese went up 50% this week. People are struggling, and so it feels to me that it's only prudent for the government to provide a measure of consideration along these lines, okay? Having said that, it's also important for the population to realize that the county is operating at a deficit, right? And so we have to balance these two interests, right? And so I think while it might not be appropriate to totally roll it back to the current level, I think we've got to cut people a break.
All right, you mentioned economic development and business community. All right. Now, some thought, first thing was like, well, Mark Mantovani, man, whatever big business, whatever corporate St. Louis wants, he's going to give it to them. And, you know, the small guy out there is going to have to take a back seat. How do you refute that? Or is it true?
Well, people who say that, I guess, don't know much about me, right? Because, you know, I started as a solo practitioner in law practice and grew a little law firm, and I started working for a business with 50 employees and grew it into something larger. I'm the last guy who ever was associated with big business, you know? My objective always was to start with a small business and grow it into a big business, right? But I was never a big business guy. Am I going to give big business everything they want? I doubt it. I don't think anybody gets everything they want in this community. But I do think that we have to recognize that we have to create more opportunity here, right? And you don't just create big opportunity with big companies. You create big opportunity helping small entrepreneurs like I was, all right, as well. And you know, there's so much that we can be doing to help entrepreneurs and sole proprietors and the like, especially in North County, by the way, where mentorship programs and the like can be effective in creating bigger businesses out of small ones. And those things are crucial, in my opinion.
Well, following up on Alvin's point, there's a company, Mark, in Chesterfield, Ulrich, U-L-R-I-C-H, which makes spinal implants. We talked about this last week, is moving to Dallas, and in their press release they said that they want to go somewhere where there's a business-friendly environment and where there's an abundance of smart, talented workers. Do you think they're blowing smoke, or are they onto something? It would seem to me that Chesterfield would be a great place to do business.
Well, look, anybody who's run a business with a lot of technology needs recognizes that we haven't always had a sufficient supply of technologists in this community. I struggled with it when I was running my business, frankly. There was not the supply of technologists locally that there are in some other communities. So what do you do about that? Well, we've got to create some more, right? We've got to train people. We've got to get people up to speed, as we're doing in some cases around town, to create more technologists. I think that St. Louis has a bad reputation with a lot of business people, right? Some of it comes from a lack of supply of skilled technologists, mostly. Some of it comes from our other challenges, crime and the like. I think it's imperative for the county executive to be able to engage with those folks on their own terms. That doesn't mean, Alvin, give them everything they want, but it means be able to have a conversation with them and find out what their pain points are. I think I think we've been lacking a cheerleader in this community. I think somebody, and I think it's the county executive's job, ought to be speaking for this community to make it more attractive, both to businesses that are here, who might come here, to people who are here, and to people who we might come here. The bully pulpit is a darn important part of a chief executive's tool chest, and gosh, I would welcome the opportunity to sell St. Louis to St. Louisans first, and around the country even more.
Okay, diversity, equity, inclusion, just words, or would that be part of the Mantovani administration?
Hugely important. There is no point in us trying to grow this place and leave people behind as we have in previous generations. Look, Alvin, over the course of the last 4 years, I've made a lot of friends in North St. Louis County. Candidly, friends that I didn't have 10 years ago, all right? And I have come to understand in a very different way some of the challenges that they have there, not just on economics, but with respect to systemic racism and the like. And I think there's nobody better than a guy like me to speak to those issues because people will, I think, recognize that if I get it, if I understand it, and I make it a priority, it will become a more likely priority for the community.
Sometimes we have DEI goals. Do you have any goals?
No, what are you talking about for staffing and the like? Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not going to work that way. All right, I think what we do is we make certain that the staffing in the county executive's office and the county government generally reflects the composition of the community, right? I think one of the things we've done poorly in the last 4 years is we have hired people in some cases who weren't credentialed in the area that they needed to be, where they were employed, right? But that is not at all a function of DEI. You can do both, all right? But the priority needs to be getting good people in these positions instead of appointing just political operatives, hiring and employing people who are trained in the area where they're going to manage for the county government. We've had too many political appointments, in my opinion, and not enough people appointed because of their skill set in a given area of the county government.
Is St. Louis County doing anything right?
Is St. Louis County doing anything right? Well, of course. I think the rank and file are working really hard, right? I think the rank and file deserve a lot of credit, right, for keeping this ship afloat. I think they've done it without any leadership, to tell you the truth. I think that we have a quality of life here that we can sell if we put somebody in this job who can communicate it. You know, we've got a cost of living that's manageable. We've got a quality of life that I think is great. Look, I love this place. That's why I'm doing this, because I love this community, and I hate to see it deteriorate further. We've got a lot going on that's good here, a lot, right? But net, we're in decline. And I think that is a function of substandard leadership, which is why I raise my hand and say, look, community, I think I get this. I think I have the skills to lead the county government. It's an executive level position. I have those skills. And if you think I can help, I'm all in.
You know, some people think, and I think in a previous life you might have had this position, that to improve the whole region, the city and the county would have to merge, or at least merge some services. What's your stance on that in 2022?
Yeah, well, first of all, I was never a supporter of merger, and I'm certainly not today. Whenever the county government is in such a state of chaos and dysfunction, I think we have to straighten out the county government first and foremost, right? I think that that topic is way on the back burner today. It's important to note, you know, that none of this could ever happen without the consent of the governed, without the people voting to approve this, right? However, having said that, I do think that we all have to recognize that at the end of the day, the city is not the county's competition. The county is not the city's competition. The competition of both of them is Kansas City and Indianapolis and Nashville. We have got to come together in order to compete effectively with these other Midwestern regions that are eating our lunch. And so I would look forward to greater collaboration. There are departments within the city and the county government that I think should be working more closely together. I think the health department, for example, how ridiculous was it whenever you couldn't eat in a restaurant in the county, but you could in the city? It's preposterous. We should have much more collaboration in that sense. We probably could have more collaboration on the police department side, so that our crime plan has broader regional implications. But this is collaboration, not merger. And look, you know, I grew up in the county. I went to high school in the city. I had a business in the city. I've had a foot on both sides of River to Pear my whole life, right? And I feel close to both. And I just think that the region ought to be the focus here. But the first thing the county's got to do is get its own house in order.
Okay, most important question. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to St. Louis U High.
Okay.
Many years ago when I could hitchhike home from school every day. I grew up in Afton.
Okay.
You know, and I went to high school every day for 4 years and never really had a ride home when I went there. And so I rode the bus or I hitchhiked home. It's a different world, I guess, right?
Mr. Mantovani, I'm sorry, but we are just about out of time.
Okay.
Thank you very much for sharing a half hour with us here on
My
9
pleasure.
PBS.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. You're welcome, guys. Thanks.
And thank you for joining us, everybody. Mark Mantovani, he wants your vote. And again, we have extended the invitation to Dr. Sam Page, and we hope to hear from him soon. Have a great week.
Donnybrook is made possible by the support of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9 PBS.